Welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. So you've seen the story. We showed you bits, some videos from before he was made MP, his constituents talking about him, talking about the help he had given them, talking about their confidence in him. So he joins us in the studio. Good afternoon to you, Lawyer Sosu, as they call you. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing very well, and I hope you are doing very well too.
I'm well. And we met many years ago. I was an intern at the Joy FM newsroom.
Oh, okay.
And I was on an assignment, and I had to interview you. And I came to your office on the Jolu stretch.
Oh yes. Oh,
and
that was many years ago.
Many years ago. So this was our first meeting.
Oh wow.
Yes, but it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Tell us how is life really? How is life after being sworn in as an MP?
Well, I think it's. For me, it's been very, very normal, except for the new obligation and the new responsibilities that I have assumed. Now, most often before I wake up in the morning, you see people who, until recently, were not lining up in my home, lining up for one support or the other. And I've had to combine parliamentary duties together with some existing clients in my office, how to manage the transition. So it's generally been
a little bit crazy.
Yeah, a little bit crazy. In fact, particularly in the first 100 days, because I'm also doing this having in mind the political benchmarking. You know, when you are elected into office, your first 100 days is so key and it's important, particularly with respect to your policies, your directions and decisions, what you intend doing. If we cannot see signs of what you really want to do, then it's likely we cannot be so confident.
Have you hit your 100 days you have?
That is going to be on Saturday.
On Saturday?
Yes.
And what will happen on Saturday?
Well, we are marking the day with a press conference on Monday, and then we would be launching two major events also on Monday, which is the Education Scholarship Fund, as well as the Teachers Award, Annual Teachers Awards from the Office of the Member of Parliament of Madina for the municipality. Okay. So this is what will be happening on Monday at the University of Professional Studies. Okay. And I really look forward to this event.
And you've been busy with other projects, the Madina Health Project, the Job Center.
Yeah.
Summarize that. Just give us a bit of information.
Okay, the Job Center was one of my promises to the people of Madina, because whilst going around, I realized that a lot of the young guys were talking about jobs and lack of jobs. So as an innovation, we began the Madina Job Center. It's an online platform that we set up for people to apply for jobs through. So far, we have nearly 4,000 people applying through the Madina Job Center. Not all of them got a job through us, but at least we have about 550.
What kind of jobs?
We have banking, others got insurance firms, others got nursing, others got health, pharmacy jobs, others got security, others had Uber drivers, work and pay. So, you know, a variety of, it's a cocktail of opportunities that is available to the Madina Job Center. Then we, as part of our program, we have the skills training, where every weekend we train the youth in computing. And we do hardware, software, and just tomorrow, on Saturday, we are going to graduate the first set of young guys who are undergoing our computer training institute. Then we also have the mushroom farming. Last time we trained 100 women.
We saw that in
mushroom farming. We actually, the target is to train about 1,000 women, but we have sectionalized it, and this is the first section.
You're a busy man. In all of this, when do you find time for parliamentary work?
Extremely busy. Actually, now we are on 6 weeks recess, so it's giving me more time to do a lot of things. But parliamentary work has also been very crazy. From the 1st of, I think from the 6th to 7th of January, the baptism of fire and the fight on the floor and all that. And it's been good, particularly working as an appointment committee member it was an experience for me. It's a committee many people always want to lobby to be on. I didn't have to lobby. I just had a chance. When I confronted my leaders, they said,
you just had the chance.
We believe in the future of young people like you, and that's why we've given you the chance to serve. So we did the best that we could during the appointment committee sitting, and we now are waiting to vet the deputy ministers. Then also, I was made a deputy ranking member for the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. That also was a big surprise to me because I felt I was a young person and there were senior people on the committee. But then again, they said it's also another way of empowering people.
So it looks like you've hit the ground running, really, in your political career, if I may say. I want us to backtrack a bit because you have a very compelling story, a very remarkable story. The typical grass to graze story, and it's not a whim of luck. You've had to work your way.
That's true.
Tell us how it's been. Tell us about your childhood.
Well, I must first use the platform to also commend Metro TV because it was Metro TV that first discovered my story. In fact, they were the first people to want to explore who I was, and that was when they began the Survivor story right here. And it was a Metro crew that went around with me to Newtown, where I was born, to a parent who were very deprived because my mom was a victim of ritual slavery and became a troko. She lived there for several years, so did not have skills, training, or education. And my dad was also a victim of idolatry and also did not have any such training. And the two of them gave birth to 6 of us. And then also we had our auntie's daughter who was living with us, so we're 7. So you know we're 9. And growing up at Newtown was extremely difficult. Because of that, I became a street kid, living on the street of Malata. Most often I was at Oxford Cinema. Some nights we need to stay at the Malata market. And we resorted to all kinds of survival mechanisms, including selling on the streets to survive. And this continued throughout my junior high school days at St. John's JHS until I got admission into the St. John's Grammar at Achimota. At St. John's Grammar, it was also a very tough time because apart from the admission fee that I was able to pay, I couldn't pay my fees for all the 3 years that I was in the school. And most time teachers would come and lash you and drive you out of the class, and I would go and come back because I always said that if I only had to endure lashes to remain in class, I would rather do that. So
but in as much as that is sad, it's a bit cruel.
Yeah, it was. And that is why when I later on became a human rights lawyer, we're one of those who are speaking vociferously against the capital punishment in schools because it was completely unfair. I wasn't the one to pay fees. And why should I suffer lashes because my parents were unable to pay the fees? So somehow it's a very unfair treatment. But I had to endure that until I became a very, very chronic school fees defaulter. I mean, I was very notoriously known as somebody who was not paying fees. That
must have been embarrassing.
Extremely embarrassing. And also, it kind of gives you some form of low self-image. And one of the ways I always sought to fight those low self-image was to make a point to prove that, I mean, whether you are poor or you are rich, you can also do something. And that's how come I eventually
scoring the grade.
Scored a grade. And I recall that in the first year, we were living at Taifa Burkina with my parents. And we were living, all 9 of us were living in one single room and without light. And it was a completely abandoned room in the bush because my parents, they couldn't afford where we were in Newtown. We had to relocate there. And every night I used to learn with a lantern and on a kitchen stool. When everybody sleeps, then I would pick the kitchen stool, squat, and then I would keep reading.
Let me jump in there and ask why. Because given the situation that you tell us, it's hopeless. So what kept you going then?
Well, it's hopeless, but I always had the belief that something good could come out of my life. I recall when we were growing up at Newtown, I began school very late. I was 8 years before I started nursery. And before I started nursery, we had a situation where I saw, life, I saw the stratification, what in sociology we call social strata. Everything was stratified. Every morning you see young guys dressed well going to school, and they will come happy. You see people in cars, and particularly when it's Christmas, you see people cooking sumptuous meal with chicken and all that, and you are still struggling with a workplay and a bobby and all that.
For Christmas. The same usual for Christmas.
So you are wondering that, there could be a better life. How do you discover that? Then I soon realized that education could play a key role. Because when I started the nursery school, because I was doing quite well, I saw that my teachers were preferring me to other people. So immediately I realized that, well, the more I do well, the likelihood that I would get more acceptance. So that committed me to school. In fact, I would go to school whether I was ill or whatever happened. So education became my focal point. And if you realize, one of the books I wrote since I became a lawyer was Homeless. And the book Homeless was to detail the importance of education in transforming my own life. Because I realized that without education, I did not have life. And that's how come when I look at the space today, I feel sad. Particularly when children have to go to school for, 2 weeks or 2 months or something, and come and stay home for another 3 months. I feel so sad because our time, things were not like that, but not everybody was able to make it. And not everybody was able to develop intellectually.
Education was the turning point.
It is so much like it's the key. When you read that book, I said education to me is life. If you don't have education, you don't have life, because a lot of opportunities in life is shut to you if you don't have education.
Yes.
The only reason why a young boy roaming on the streets of Accra can rise to become a lawyer and be at the UN conference and be speaking to world leaders and young men and women in human rights, it can be only education.
What is curious, though, is that you were exposed to the streets, but somehow you didn't follow the vices.
Well, that is also another choice, because the fact that we are faced with challenges doesn't mean that we must allow the challenges to define who we should be. And that is one unique thing that happened with my life also. There were many times people sent me to buy either weed, cocaine, alcohol, and things like that. There were times that we had all kinds of peer pressure to get involved in those things, but it was a choice. And so we must understand that whether we will become successful or we would fail, they are all choices. The path to failure is easy way life, easy everything is easy, then you will fail. But if you want to choose success, then it means that you need discipline, you need to take the hard decision, you need to forego things today for the future, and so on and so forth. So that was the choice I made, and I really had to pay serious prices for those choices.
Yours is a story that when as I was reading about, preparing, I couldn't help think about these two teenagers who killed another boy in Kaswa, to get some money or to become overnight millionaires. It's really a thin line in emulating what you did, or choosing the easiest path.
That is absolutely true, and that is what makes me sad for Ghana again and the youth of Ghana, because people want easy life, but nothing comes easily. People are looking for quick money.
But poverty is hard.
But even beyond the poverty, look at young girls today. People want to use iPhone when they are not ready. They are not working. People want to wear the type of wigs that people might have worked for several years. That's the kind of wig they want to wear. They want makeups that women might have worked for, like, say, 20, 30 years are using. Their perfume, these are the things they want. So I think that there is some delink, I don't know, there is some kind of vacuum when it comes to building values that will last, values that will secure our future. And I think we must consciously reorient our society. Otherwise, we risk a very, very unpleasant future for our young guys. The only reason why these young guys, apart from the fact that information technology makes it easier for you to watch the internet or take your WhatsApp phone and see videos of people doing things like that, influencing them, there is also this innate desire for wealth, which you haven't worked for. Innate desire for sudden rising without hard work. But look, I want to assure you guys out there, it is only hard work, determination, and dedication that will give you, money without stress and without problem. And of course, God plays a role, but only God will help you if you are willing to help yourself. But if you want quick money, trust me, you will get the quick money, but your life will not last. You get the quick money, your reputation will not last. You get the quick money, your future cannot be guaranteed.
Another point of resilience in your story is this gentleman called Francis Xavier. You encountered him, you sought to help him, and there were some misunderstandings. The General Legal Council imposed a ban on you. The ban is off now. Just tell me, that must have been because you worked so hard to become a lawyer, and in a way, it was taken from you for some point.
Yeah, that was also another heartbreaking experience. And then again, I don't know whether to now comment Metro or not to comment, because Francis Xavier was recommended to me by Metro TV. And it was Metro that first found him and did a story on him.
Yeah.
And your archives will show that he wanted to commit suicide because he said after having been released through the Justice for All program, he didn't have anybody to assist him, so he wanted to commit suicide. So he actually went to a suicide program, and that was where he was discovered by one of your reporters. I've forgotten her name. And so when the report was shown, the then, I think Ira Makolache was then the director of news or something. He called and said, this story, would you be willing to assist? I said, oh, why not? We'll be willing to assist. And this guy walks into your office, if I kneels down together with his children and in the glare of the media, asking that, oh, we don't have anything. You go do the case for us. When you finish, take 50% and give us. We say, oh, we don't do it like that. So you will do what we have to do. There are agreements you sign, and at the end of the case, what is due the firm you would pay, and then you can also go your way. And even till now, people still call and say that 50%. We say, we don't do it like that. So we finished this case, and it's time for you to pay. Then it became Wahala. And when it became Wahala, I even said that, look, money is good, but you know what? Good name is better than riches. So, if you don't want to pay, you can keep the money. He goes by himself and then turn around to do the payment and goes to report that you have overcharged him. It was one of the most craziest things that ever happened in my life. I was so scandalized. And then there was a young man, I think Patrick Reynolds, may he so rest in peace, who the billboard had collapsed on and paralyzed him 100%. And there was a Facebook page that was rallying support for him, and they raised money for us to go to court, and I shared details of this writ with them, and that's what the GLC said they didn't understand, and then said it amounted to touting and Francis Xavier. So suspended for 3 years. It was heartbreaking, but of course I needed to use the legal processes to fight it, because I believe that what happened was not right. So we went to court, and by God's grace, we had a decision overturned for me to go back into practice. So challenges are meant to come our way. I always say that you cannot be a star without a scar.
But let me butt in. Did that affect, and I'm asking because it will seem ironic, didn't that affect your philosophy about kindness? Here you are becoming an MP in the business of helping people again. Well,
it initially, I must say that initially it did. Initially, my natural reaction was that I don't want to do this again. I mean, quote and unquote, to hell with anybody who cares about, because prior to that incident, I had represented close to 1,000 people in prison through the Justice for All program. I had been to almost every prison in Ghana. There were times that, I had done so much. When you come to my private firm, I was a young lawyer. I had in excess of over 300 active cases that were running at the time of the decision. So it was such a difficult time for me, and I had to reconcile all that. But then I needed to also reconcile that position with my own religious position, because as a child of God, I believe that the Bible is so clear that don't be tired of doing good, and that at the appropriate time, God will reward you. So and it says that you should count it all joy when men say all kinds of things against you, or when you are afflicted, because our Master Jesus was himself afflicted, and all kinds of things were said about him. So I took solace in the Bible, and I took solace in prayer. So I dedicated more time to prayer and prayer and prayer and prayer. And so eventually I wasn't surprised that the ban was overturned. And that decision confirmed to me that what the Bible says is true, and that just keep doing good, and God will be the one to reward. So it has not affected. In fact, post Francis Ejari, I did several other matters. Like Francis Asante.
That's how I encountered you the first time.
I don't know whether the Francises keep coming, you know. And he was, jailed for defilement wrongly, and we had to fight until at the Supreme Court he was acquitted and discharged. But he was acquitted and discharged at a time that he has already served 15 years in prison in hard labor. Obviously, complete injustice. In fact, when we did further, at the time that we had to do further actions for the compensation, I was already on suspension. But my firm did it, and my colleague Victor followed up, and I wasn't so pleased with what the Supreme Court did at the time. I think they awarded him 40,000 Ghana or thereabouts.
I'm running out of time now.
With whatever. And that case has inspired me to begin a private member's bill on compensation. Because if we have penalty units by which we punish people who offend the law, why can't you have compensation units for people when the law wrongly imprisons? For them to be compensated. So
Francis,
anyway,
I'm running out of time.
These are the things that.
But I'll dedicate my last 3 minutes to politics. One, first question really is earlier you touched on the appointments, your work with the appointment committee.
Yes,
the committee has been criticized for passing through Ken Ofori-Atta because of what the party had said about him. And there are all sorts of allegations against this committee, which you're a member of. That's one. Number two, given that you've hit the ground running with your political career, should we, at some point, or in some years to come, expect that you ever run for president?
Oh, man. I think that right now, starting from the last one, my goal is to represent the people of Madina and represent them very well. And then I leave the future to God. And I also hope that I can work very hard, even though His Excellency John Dramani Mahama hasn't said anything yet. But I'm sure I'm one of those few people behind the scenes who believe that he still has a mandate for the people of Ghana. So as he rests and thinks about his aspiration, he should consider coming back.
Very well.
And we are all going to support him. The appointment committee's work, I believe that criticisms are part of our work. That is the only way we can make amends and move forward. I think there were things that we did from the beginning. People were commending the appointment committee that it was a committee that was asking very critical questions. And so we cannot accept the commendation and avoid the criticism. On the floor of Parliament, the considerations, the things that inform decision are very many. And so we should be able to take responsibility where we are criticized that you didn't take the right decision in the interest of either the people or the party. But just reassure that...
The suspicion is that most of you were paid off.
No, that suspicion doesn't, it's completely false, and there is no basis for that suspicion. In fact, I heard some of them 5 million Ghana cedis, some huge sums of money. I'm sure if some MPs get that money, they will resign from Parliament and then go and start a business. Because, but the truth is that, these decisions were carefully thought out. If for whatever reason something didn't go well, Parliament is open to criticisms, and we'll just amend our ways and do better next time.
Okay, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. My guest has been Lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu, the MP for the Madina constituency. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forson. Thank you very much for your time.